y'all. In today's video, we're going to be talking about personal finances. Now, the thing about personal finances, they're like religion and politics. They are things that we either assume or are told we shouldn't talk about at the family dinner table, because they'll likely start a fight. But ironically enough, the families who seem to encourage these conversations about money and building wealth are also the families that talk about it the most, and are also the families that we talk about the most and are building the most wealth in America. And I want to give you some examples. Maybe you shop at Walmart or know somebody who shops at Walmart. Have you ever heard of the Walton family? They are worth $224 billion up to $340 billion. Or perhaps maybe you've had some M&Ms or eaten a Mars bar and you know about the Mars family. They are reportedly worth $160 billion. Or maybe you've been in the mall or own a Hermes bag or Hermes bag. I'm not sure how to say it because I don't own one, neither does Stephanie, but they are worth a reported $94.6 billion. Now, before we dive deeper into personal finances, I want to take a minute to say thank you so much for visiting our channel. My name is Joseph, my wife is Stephanie, and we have open and honest conversations about money, building wealth as a now family of 4 that are millionaires, and want to make sure that we do our best to share that information that we've learned along the journey of building our wealth with you so that you can take some of the things that we have and the tips that we have and apply them to your life if they fit you. So I don't know about you, but I find this really interesting that we have all most likely been told not to talk about money. But the richest families in the world, I guarantee, are talking about business, building wealth, and how they continue to add more and more business and money to their family name. Now, long before we started this YouTube channel, Stephanie and I were both young, broke, brown college students trying to aspire to make something of ourselves. And actually, before we met, Stephanie was building her career in corporate America while I was a school teacher trying to figure out a way to improve my financial situation. And when we finally met, I had about $5,000 to my name, but I knew that one day I wanted to be a millionaire. Meanwhile, Stephanie was laser focused on being a boss in one of the largest tech companies in America and had her sights on being a VP in her company. And she could care less about being a millionaire. And somehow the stars aligned, we met and are now millionaires as a couple and a family of 4. But to be honest, becoming a millionaire was not something that we were fully aligned on. I think we both wanted to have great financial success, but we didn't do this without having lots of conversations about business, money, our own financial situations, and what building wealth would look like down the road. So that's what today's video is all about. The 10 personal finance lessons that have changed our lives and the ones that we should have learned much sooner. Look, I am not naive. I think personal finance, and probably you think this as well, is a very unsexy topic. But as I said earlier, those who have conversations about money, business, and building wealth are usually the ones who do reach or exceed their personal financial goals. And I'm sure you, like me, have gone through tons of blogs and tons of videos on YouTube with 20 and 30-year-olds telling you how to invest your first $10,000 when they themselves have not yet invested a dollar. This isn't one of those videos. This is information from 2 soon-to-be 40-year-olds with 2 young children who have built themselves up to be millionaires and wanting to make sure we share our actual experiences from the past so that you can either miss the mistakes that we made or make some improvements along the way on your journey to financial freedom. So although there's a lot of garbage advice out there, we're going to talk about the specific things that have actually worked and helped us become millionaires to continue to build wealth and to also build wealth for our children. Let's dive into the 10 biggest personal finance lessons that we learned from being broke brown college students to becoming millionaires at the age of about 38, and what that looks like as a couple that still loves each other as much as we did back then, if not more. By the way, I hope Steph feels the same way because she doesn't see these videos until they're published. So lesson 1, income isn't everything. So when it comes to understanding that money isn't everything, there are 3 main things that you should focus on. So number 1 is making sure that you have your basic financial needs met, making sure you have enough food to eat and a roof over your head. The second part is making sure that you have cash left over for savings and or investment. And number 3 is making sure that you get serious about cutting back on your expenses and overall spending, or else you'll never become financially free. Now, the interesting thing about income not being everything is that if you do not understand these concepts, the thing that you're going to run into is called lifestyle creep. And no, I'm not talking about your ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend who's part of an MLM that keeps trying to get you to join. So what exactly is lifestyle creep? Lifestyle creep can be defined as an increase in spending after you've received a bonus and or a pay increase, instead of taking that money and putting it towards debt or savings or investing it. An example of this is, let's say you get a $10,000 raise, and instead of taking that money and paying off your debts and or investing it, the thing that you do is you think about all the things that you can go out and buy. So maybe say, hey, I've worked really hard for this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a down payment on a new car. I'm going to go ahead and put that barbecue pit in my backyard that I've always wanted. Or heck, maybe you want to go on this dream vacation because you've been working so hard, and you take a trip to Portugal and the Maldives and you spend all that money that you got as a bonus or a raise. So we all have that friend or are that friend that makes over $100,000 and live paycheck to paycheck and still have your student loans in forbearance. Now, the main reason this happens is because we haven't had real conversations or put together a plan on how to save money or invest money in order to to pay off those debts. So another lesson here is making sure that you put away at least 20% of your check so that you can plan and save that money. Even if you start earning more money, you want to continue to put away that 20% so that you can save and invest and you act like that money never came to you. Because if you can do that, you start putting yourself on the path to financial freedom. I'm not telling you not to have fun, but I do want you to pretend like you never got that money, because if you can say, hey, I don't need to buy that new car and I don't need to go on that $12,000 vacation, and you put that money away for savings, you're going to thank yourself later. Lesson number 2, diversify your income. If there was ever a time to add a side hustle to earn extra income, the time is right now. Whenever I personally started as a digital marketer 10 years ago, I had no idea where I was going to end up. But within a few years, I went from earning $20,000 to $30,000 per year to well over 6 figures. So when it comes to expenses, there's only so much you can come back on, especially if you're a parent. However, but working a side hustle, freelancing, or consulting can be one of the best and fastest ways to increase your income, and there's almost no cap on the amount of income you can make. As a pro tip, find a field where people are making a full-time income, something that you might be interested in, and then go all in on that as your side hustle. Because if they can do it as a full-time employee and or business owner, then you can do that on the weekends or in the evening hours and make a lot of money as well. And lesson number 3 is investing in yourself. I think in today's society, there's so much information out there that you can go online to YouTube or to these other places, these courses that you can purchase, and you can learn so much information to upskill your skills in order to make more money. Now, you may have to spend a little bit of money to improve your skills, but if that money that you spent will actually give you more money in the long run, then it's well worth it. Now, I want to be clear here. There's endless ways that you can increase your value if you're an employee of somebody's business and or if you're a business owner. So don't think this just applies to somebody who's trying to do a side hustle. There are ways that your company will probably pay you more money for doing a side skill within the business if you market it right to them and you can prove that your skill set is worth paying you more. Now, personally, one of the best investments I ever made was investing in an SEO course. Now, that's search engine optimization for those of you who are interested in that or know about it. I invested a lot of money. I did that because one of my businesses that we had started actually failed, and I was looking for a way to increase my skills because I had learned through trial and error how to build massive audiences that got us interest from a billionaire who wanted to invest into our company. And so I said, if I can do that on a level of learning myself through trial and error, then if I can go out and pay for something that is proven, then I think I can earn more money. And I did. I made a lot more money. So I think if you put your money in the right education, tools, and resources, it can pay back really, really big. And no, I'm not going to use this time to pitch our one-on-one call sessions that we're actually opening up, and the link is down in the description because I think that would be way too obvious. Lesson number 4 is saying yes to everything when you're first starting out. Now, I think there's a time and place as you continue to progress in your career and your business that you own where you will be able to say, hey, I want more money, I deserve more money. But as you're first getting started, I think it's best to say yes to as many things as possible to allow you to make money within the field that you're interested in so that you're not missing out on opportunities to bring in more money to cover the debts and or invest more money. The good news is whatever you decide to focus on and make a little bit of money in the beginning, over time, you'll continue to build and build and build and make more money on each project that you decide to work on. Lesson number 5, and probably one of the biggest lessons that you can learn that I learned actually through being a real estate agent, over 52% of people are staying with their parents much longer. I think this is probably one of the best ways for young people, specifically anybody from their 20s to their 30s or maybe even a little after 30, to cut down on your biggest expense, which is your housing. And honestly, this is probably one of the best financial decisions that I think people can make and can teach their kids, because I have met some people that are worth a lot of money that didn't buy their first house and or had roommates until they were well into their 30s. And let me tell you, today, they're doing just fine. The other thing that I want to note about this, we're probably in one of the highest housing markets that we've ever been in. We have some of the highest inflation that we've ever seen, and we also have some of the highest housing prices that we've ever seen. And if you're lucky enough to have your parents, I think you should be able to use that situation to pay off as much debt as possible to set you up for the future. And you know what? A few years of staying with your parents might be worth it so that you have a better life in the long run. Lesson number 6 is stop buying stuff that you just don't need. Seriously, I want you to think about this. When was the last time you bought a massive purchase and it made you happy for like a day, maybe a month or two, but years down the road, you don't even think about that thing anymore? Instead, why don't you take that money, apply it to your personal finances, pay off your debt, put it towards your savings, start investing. And then whenever you look at your bank account, you look at your savings account, you look at your investing, you look at the debt that no longer exists, how much happier do you think you would be, and how much more content do you think you would be rather than buying the things that you don't need? Now, I want to be clear here. I know there are going to be people down in the comments that are saying things like, oh, I can't go buy a coffee now. I can't buy lunch every now and then. No, enjoy those things, but don't go make massive purchases that are going to set you back. Take that money instead, again, put it towards your savings, your debt. And I think in the long run, as you hear people talk about this that are older like I am, that is a much smarter decision and it'll make you much happier in the long run. Lesson number 7, and this is something that I wish Stephanie and I would have done much sooner, is track the important stuff. Now, when Stephanie and I got serious about deleting all of our debt and building wealth, we had a spreadsheet. Now, when I say we, Stephanie is a spreadsheet master, so she had the spreadsheet. But we started looking at all the possible things that we can get rid of as soon as possible and where we were financially as far as our net worth so that we can start making better decisions with our money. Now, here's the crazy thing for us. We both are not massive spenders. Like, I like nice cameras and, nice audio equipment to make sure that we have stuff for our jobs. But other than that, we don't spend a lot of money. Neither of us like super nice clothes. I think this shirt is probably 5 years old and I have older clothes as well. But the thing that we found interesting whenever we did that and started diving deeper and tracking things is we had saved over $500,000 in our savings. And now there's going to be a video. Stephanie will make that video later, and whenever it comes up, we'll probably have it pop up later on here. But whenever you start doing that type of stuff and actually start tracking, the things that you track and pay attention to are the things that will actually come to fruition. Now, for you, you may not be at $500,000 in savings, and that's okay. We didn't realize that until our late 30s. You may be younger, and if you can start tracking things today and start deleting your student loans or any other debts, and you start seeing that disappear, there is a visual representation there that you can actually see go away that gives you this inner peace and then allows you to start seeing your money build as well and snowballing so that you can build to whatever that number is for your financial freedom. Lesson 8, start reading personal finance books. Start with one, because if you can start with one personal finance book, that book can possibly change your life and or cause you to read other books that may change your financial situation and get you thinking about becoming who you want to be whenever it comes to your personal finance situation. Now, the reason I think reading a personal finance book or several personal finance books once you dive in is important is because if everybody else is doing all the things that are causing them to live paycheck to paycheck, having the perspective of somebody that has done exactly maybe what you want to do, because you're probably watching this video, is paramount to your mindset. Because if you can start thinking like that person rather than all your friends who are driving really fancy cars and have a really nice house and living paycheck to paycheck, later on down the road, you will have way more money and be a lot more satisfied than everybody else who's living paycheck to paycheck. Now, for Christmas break one year, Stephanie and I decided to read Quit Like a Millionaire, and that lit a fire underneath us that was unstoppable. I mean, the flame is obviously still going today, and I think that anybody who is willing, you watching this video, are willing to purchase a personal finance book, start reading that book, and I'll put some down in the link in the description below. You'll see that reading that book all the way through, taking notes, will give you a return on investment that is just absolutely unbelievable and worth it. Tip number 9 is actually going in and doing an audit of your social media feeds. I think this is really hard for a lot of people to do because we follow things that are culturally really popular, like TikTok dances, Instagram reels that are, about food. And I'm not saying those are all bad things, but if you want to start getting on the right path, you want to start following accounts that are aligned with what your goals are. For us, for example, we follow folks like Our Rich Journey, learn from them. We learn from the Money Guys and several other people that were talking about the things that we want to accomplish or had already accomplished the things that we wanted to have in our lives. And by doing so, it helped us put ourselves on a path of making sure that we did reach financial freedom. But we had to remove a lot of other people and things out of our lives in order to make sure that we're following the right people. The next lesson that we learned was celebrate your wins. No matter how small they are, I think it's important for all of us to celebrate as many wins as possible. There are enough things in the world that are trying to knock us down, including our own mind. So if we can start training our mind to celebrate small wins, like, setting up automatic debt payments for your credit card, setting up automatic payments to your college loans, all the little wins that you have throughout your day and month, I think are really important to celebrate. For example, we just hit 800 subscribers. Thank you so much. We are so glad that you are a part of this journey with us, and we hope we're doing a good job in explaining some of these things to you and the lessons that we've had and experiences we had. But celebrating those things, grabbing a nice glass of wine, buying a small notebook to write down the things that you want to celebrate so you can actually physically see them whenever you do that. Closing your laptop once you have actually set something up to pay off some debts. Doing all those small things and celebrating them in the moment will be so important for your mindset to continue pushing forward and accomplishing your financial goals. Look, the journey of personal finance and becoming financially free is a very slow process for most people. Now, some people do hit it big, congratulations to them, but for the rest of us, it is a slow process. But if you can stay dedicated, the payoff can be great, mentally and also great for your bank account. So what I want you to do is I want you to take just a minute right now, and I want you to imagine a life where you're not worried about debt, a life where you can go out and eat what you want and buy what you want at any restaurant that you want to without worrying about that money. I want you to imagine what your life can look like years down the road, what your rich life looks like years down the road. Now, anytime you hear personal finance advice, I want you to think, does this actually help me hit my goals in becoming who I want to be financially? And if it doesn't, take that advice with a grain of salt. With that being said, that's our 10 lessons on personal finances that changed our life. And I hope that some of these will help you change your life and start planning better, paying off your debt, investing, and living your rich life and planning for your financial freedom. And with that, as always, don't forget to give yourself permission to be wealthy.